Hey YouTube, it's Tracy from Entrepreneur Girl, and yes, you're right, I am actually videotaping this from my bed. And the reason for that is because a couple days ago I went to a trampoline park for my daughter's birthday and decided to snap my lateral ligament in two. So, needless to say, I can't walk at all right now, and I'm pretty much bound to the couch or my bed for a while. But I got a real fancy robo boot that I can't wear yet because it's so swollen. But it's actually made of steel, so that makes me feel pretty cool. And I have gator crutches. I thought this would be a great opportunity to kick off my Overcoming Obstacles video series, which I've been wanting to do for a while. And here I am having to overcome an obstacle, so I thought it would be a great time to just go ahead and start the series instead of moping around on my bed. And all of you pretty much know my past. You know that I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer, and you know that I had a pulmonary embolism that almost killed me. And you know, just last week, my dad had a massive heart attack. And so there's been a lot of near-death life events that I've had to face. And it's been a struggle. It's hard when you have to overcome an obstacle like that. So our obstacle for today's video is going to be about health and injuries and overcoming that. So obviously, this is a really big deal for me as a person, as a reseller, because I can't go out there and get inventory right now. And it's going to take 4 to 6 weeks to recover. So my Thanksgiving, Black Friday weekend, out the window. Garage selling, all of my normal routines are gone for almost 2 months. So this is a huge deal for me, and I've been moping around for about a day. But then I just realized that I'm going to have to find other ways to get around it. And that's what you have to do when you're faced with a health issue or an injury issue, is just find ways to adapt. So health and injuries can really help put things in perspective and give you an opportunity to change your life. So when I was faced with mortality, my own mortality, when I was hit with the pulmonary embolism and I actually heard the words, you could die, a lot of things go through your mind. Most of all, of course, is fear. You're researching, get as much information about your ailment that you can. And then you go through this process of really wrapping your head around what's going on. And during that process, a lot of growth can happen because for me, I realized, what's important to Tracy. And in the ICU, actually in the bed, I was making with pen and paper, kind of reflecting on my own life, reflecting on some regrets that I had had, things I wish I had done or things I wish I hadn't done. And I was able to boil it down to mainly two things that I wanted with my life. And one is relationships. We kind of put relationships off for work or whatever, but when you're faced with an in life thing like that, relationships come first and foremost. And that can be, your extended family, your immediate family, it could be God, it could be friends, it could be, any kind of relationship that is in your life. But those tend to be the number one thing that most people cling to when they're suffering through something like this. Number two is freedom or a lifestyle. The goals, your personal goals and lifestyle that you want, and the freedom to be able to do that. A lot of people don't, they work 60 hours a week or 80 hours a week. They're forced to work in an office, 9 to 5 or 9 to 9 o'clock at night, and they have really no life. And when you're faced with something serious, you realize that you want to, climb mountains, you want to jump out of planes. There's things you want to do. You want to travel. You want this freedom. You want to be home more. You want to, buy that car you always wanted. There's things that you want that maybe you haven't obtained yet. And so it's really important to be mindful of those two things. And what I would like for you to do for today's homework with this video is to define those things for yourself. It took me 3 months. I actually reflected on my life for 3 months as I was kind of wrapping my head around the embolism and then later the cancer. And I had to ask myself what was really, really important. What did I want my life to look like now? You know, if I could do anything, what would I do? And then try to piece together what would be the perfect life for Tracy. And I wrote it all out on pen and paper. And it took a really long time. I tweaked it, I edited it, I gave it a lot of thought. I took things out, I added things. And really at the end, I was like, this is the life I want. This is what, you know, I don't have, or maybe I have parts of it, but I want to aim towards this. This is what it looks like. And that is huge because you've now defined what you want for yourself in a very real, you know, and heartfelt way. So now that we have our list and we know what we want, we actually have to have the money to afford it because unfortunately we live in a world where we have to have money, we have to pay for ourselves, we have to feed ourselves and, you know, take care of things. So we have to have money. And there's only two ways to have money. Either you have a little bit of money, which a lot of people say, oh, well, that's a lot less stressful. You're not worried about money. I'd rather have less, you know, so I'm not working those 100-hour work weeks. You know, I can be home more. I'm not stressed. And, you know, I have enough to get by. Or you can have, you know, a lot of money. And a lot of money doesn't necessarily mean long hours and a lot of stress. It just means you have to get more money and figure out ways to get it without getting it with stress and through a 9 to 5 job. I personally think that a little bit of money can be just as stressful as a lot of money because you're stressing about paying your bills and you're stressing about not being able to purchase things that you want to purchase, or things are stressful, at least to me. So I'm definitely on the more money approach, and it can give you the freedom because money comes freedom. If I have a lot of money, I then have the freedom to buy the things I want. I have the freedom to stay at home with my children and, you know, hire out work responsibilities. I have the freedom to hire a maid in my house instead of taking the time to clean it myself. I can be off playing. Just money equals freedom to me. And so I knew that obviously we all have to have money, but I wanted to be on the upper end of the money spectrum. Okay, so now that we know what we want and we know we need money to get there, we need to figure out what kind of jobs we can get where we're getting a lot of money, but we have a lot of flexibility and freedom, you know, to be at home and have that lifestyle that we want so that we can be with our relationships, our family, our friends, our religious, you know, relationships. And there's really not a lot, you know, most jobs in our society are you go to a brick and mortar place and you have to work, you punch in, you punch out, you get your little 1 week vacation, and everybody is happy and doing what they're supposed to do. But if you're like me and you're more of an entrepreneur spirit and you really want to have freedom of your life and you really want to spend time with your relationships, then that starts to be not such a good option. You know, I don't want that option. So what else is out there for me to do? And this was the next step that I did when I was really sick, is I thought about, okay, what are all the things that I can do that afford me to live the way my list says? This is what I want with my life. I want to become this dream. So how can I do that? Ultimately, the conclusion I came to was jobs like stockbroker, you know, a lot of technology jobs. You can do 100% online, e-commerce, really the computer. When you have a laptop and you have the internet, you can work from anywhere, doing anything, as long as it's using the internet. And so that's where I settled. That's where I knew I needed to be. I know you've seen me do this chart before, but I just really want to give you a visual on what I'm talking about. Okay, so we know that for the lifestyle we want, I don't know why I'm writing that. It's going to have to be online. And I wanted to stock trade. And I loved stock trading, but it just didn't give me the monthly income that I wanted. You know, stock trading, you have to be successful, then you're putting the money, you know, and reinvesting it back into stocks, and you're growing the stock. So I'm making more and more with stocks, but it was going to take time. And I needed to, you know, live my dream now, not 10 years from now. So then I added eBay. And eBay was great, but you know, with those ceilings that they give you, they only let you grow so fast. You know, every month you have to get your ceilings, you know, raised a little bit so that you can make more and more money over time. Then I added Amazon. Okay, Amazon's wonderful. But the more inventory I send in, the more money that I make. So this also takes time. And then, of course, now you know I YouTube. So I make very little on that. Like maybe it should just be part of a dollar sign. But, you know, we'll put it because it's included. And then, you know, I'm working on my website. And with the website, I'm going to have my ebooks and my advertisements and my affiliate programs. And that's going to make me money, but it takes time to grow. I have to grow, you know, those numbers of people that are actually watching my stuff and visiting my website. And the more I grow, the more money I'll make. But it's going to take time. There are other options for you if you're really good with your technological skills, or say you're really good with photography. I don't know if you can see all of that, but I'm saying it, you know, and then you can do real estate investments. Okay, so these are just ideas of what I've come up with for a portfolio to make a monthly income that I want to make every month. Because if I'm wanting to make, you know, $4,000 to $10,000 a month, this is what I needed, Tracy needed to do that. And you can see how I kind of grew it. You know, I added a piece at a time and I grew it. And now that I've grown it, at first I started making $2,000 a month. But as things start to grow, my stock portfolio is growing, so it's making me more money. You know, I have more items listed for sale. Now I have 3 stores at eBay, so that's making me more money. I'm sending more and more boxes to Amazon, so I'm making more money. My YouTube channel is growing, my website's growing. So as you can see, this is growing all on its own. It kind of has a momentum of its own now. And now I'm able to make $4,000 a month. But I'm not going to stop there. I'm not going to say, oh, well, that's great. I want to keep growing. You know, I want to add the ebooks, and I want to add, you know, other, you know, maybe some training videos, maybe some consulting work. I want to constantly be adding more slivers to my pie so that I can make more and more money. Not because I'm greedy and I just want a ton of money. It's because I want the lifestyle that the money affords me. I want to be able to spend time with my kids and take them to really awesome places. You know, hey, let's go to Paris, you know, next month. Let's see things. Let's do things together. Let's make memories. And for me, this is what I wanted out of my life. And it all started with cancer and an embolism and things like, you know, legs being injured. And it forces you to stop. And it forces you to reflect on the life that you're living now and the life that you want to live. And some people will say to me, well, doesn't this spread you too thin? You know, instead of just focusing on eBay, doesn't this make you spread too thin? And actually it hasn't, because I've grown it one at a time. I think if I just decided one day, okay, I'm going to do stocks and eBay and Amazon, I'm going to start all of them this week. Yeah, perhaps, you know, but I haven't done that. I've done it one at a time. And what I really like about this model is if something goes bad, if the stock market goes bad, or if eBay has a problem, or you know, my website glitches and I've lost my website for whatever reason, my income doesn't come to a screeching halt. I still have all these other income revenues coming in every month, and it allows me the time and the security to, you know, still be having an income while fixing the glitch that has occurred. So I like diversity in my portfolio. And I also like that it enables me to grow my money, because even if I was the best stock person I could be, I was only going to be able to grow this so fast. And I was only going to be able to grow my eBay so fast. There were limits to the speed of the growth. And while this was growing slowly with my ceilings, I could be initiating other pieces of the pie. And that way they're all growing and they're all growing together. Is going to be, like I told you, about overcoming obstacles. And some of the obstacles we're going to be talking about is fear, money, kids, distractions, time, adversity, people and things. Those are just some of the mental obstacles that we deal with when we're dealing with creating our own businesses and trying to work from home and building this lifestyle that we want. Our YouTube channel, Entrepreneur Girl, is going to be covering these obstacles, but we're also going to be covering all these pieces of the pie. So far, we've mainly talked about eBay and Amazon and, of course, YouTube, but we're going to be talking about each one of these and how you can also get started in them if you're interested. You can watch the ones that you like and don't worry about the ones that you don't like. But we're going to be covering all these ways to be an entrepreneur yourself and to initiate this for you and for your family. You that are suffering from your injuries have to allow the growth to happen. I padded on my bed for a while. I can't do anything. And I have 8 kids and a big house and all this work. I'm already behind because my dad was ill and I spent so much time up there. But instead of just sitting here pouting, I made a list today. What can I do to be productive from my bed? Ask for help. If you need help, don't be afraid to ask. I'm going to talk about it. A lot of times when you don't talk about it, you try to protect people from it or protect yourself from it. It just grows bigger and bigger and bigger and makes you more panicky about it. It's best just to put it out there and, just keep it real. And I thought maybe I should do this YouTube video because I always want to be an encouragement to you. But, this is important. This is important stuff because we're human and we're going to have things happen to us. Bad things, not if, when. Something is going to happen to each and every one of us, and we better learn how to overcome it, and be able to move on, or it can really handicap us. So I thought, you need to see me sitting in my bed pouting because this is life, and I always want to keep it real with you, and we can learn from each other that way through the bad as well as the good. There's going to be triggers, in your life. If something bad happens, I'm not too keen on going to a trampoline park anymore. And I imagine the first time I see a trampoline or attempt to go on one, I'm going to be thinking about my leg and how awful that was and how bad that hurt. And, there's triggers with my cancer. I go on a cancer walk. And even though I have a 99% cure rate with my cancer, I'm really, really blessed. It still makes me feel panicky, sometimes when I talk about it. But the more I talk about it and the more I'm out there doing with it, the less that panic controls me and the more I control, what's going on in my life. Don't be afraid to take medication if you need to, whether that's pain meds like I have or whether it's, some kind of nerve medication, just don't be afraid to cry. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to get medication. It's all part of the process. And the biggest thing that I want you to get out of this video is to stop, just stop living someone else's life. Stop molding yourself to other people. Just really sit down with your pad and paper and figure out who you are and what you want and what would make you happy. So if you're at the end of your life and you've done these things, you're okay. You're okay with death. You're okay with dying. You're okay with the worst case scenario. Hope this helps someone out there. Love you guys. Bye.